What it is, YouTube, is your boy Nixie coming back with another bullseye of a tutorial here today on the channel. I wanted to do a dope, mixtape analysis of Future Beast Mode, Beast Mode. All right, very important, album when it comes to like hip hop and everything like that. So, if you guys do like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below if you want to support the channel. Also, check the links. Okay, so this is like a mixtape analysis where we talk about, the plugins that Future might have used. Not even fuck the plugins, brother. Like, let's actually talk about the sound and break this shit down and give you a free FL Studio project. So let's get to it. I was listening to Future Beast Mode, okay, and I just love Zaytoven's productions on this project. I think the first thing I think about is the keys. They remind me of a family cookout with the barbecue ribs and the fries and the barbecue sauce and the peach cobbler. You feel me? The way that everything just feels so warm, but the drums feel snappy at the same time. So, a couple of the standout songs is like Where I Came From, Forever, yeah, like Peacoat. These are some songs that just lit up the streets when they first came out. That's why we still bumping this shit 10 years later. You feel me? So, first thing I'm gonna break down is the master fader. So I kind of like how a situation where like having a multi-band saturator is kind of like important too for overall flavoring some shit, because with the multi-band saturator, whatever type you got, if it's Ozone or Saturn 2, it's an important tool because you get to pick where you put the flavor at in a density area. Like maybe sometimes you only want to put, ketchup on the hot dog and not the fries. Sometimes you only want to put mustard on your burger and not your chicken strips. You get to selectively pick where you applying the flavor, whether it be tape saturation, tube, or transformer saturation, like how I always talk about that. Those all apply different types of flavors, but you get to be selective about it. So I think that's very important for an album like this, trying to achieve that sound, because you hear that the keys are very angelic, the pads, everything just feels so warm. So maybe you might want to saturate only like the mid-range where the pads and the synths and stuff like that would be, and leave the drums untouched where they might be in the lower register and stuff like that, like the kick, the bass, like a low clap. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we got right here. And I would use the API 2500 as the bus compressor. Now remember, the more that you compress your mixes, it's gonna sound a little bit more pinched. And the thing about Beast Mode is that it sounds like a very open and ominous project, especially like a song like Peacoat, you feel me, or Layup. It just sounds very open. So the more bus compression you apply, the more your mix is gonna sound like a lunatic who's in a straitjacket in an insane asylum. You feel me? It's gonna feel pinched and small and closed in. All right. So remember that when you apply bus compression. API 2500 is great because it was made in the 90s, so it has a modern tone. And like the Beast Mode mixtape, the keys sound very throwback, like as in the texture, but the drums still sound new, and overall it just still feels very modern. It feels like it just came out. So the FabFilter Pro L2 is a great limiter, even L2 is a great limiter. Now for the low end, I love how back in the day, you remember the SoundCloud wave, everybody used to use the Zaytoven, the short 808s. Zaytoven is that one dude who really made those short 808s hit, because his melodies are often sometimes very long. You feel me? You feel me? Like his melodies are very long and sustaining and stuff. So I think that short 808s are just beautiful on his music because they don't sustain too long. So I use a plugin like Voice of God. If you don't have this plugin, you can use Bark of Dog. You can use Bark of Dog. It's a free plugin, but all this is doing is like a steep ass filter and a bump, like a high pass filter and like a big pimple acne type of bump in the mid range. So that's great for a Zaytoven type of 808 because it's just gonna help it thud, doom, doom a little bit more. And on some of those songs, they don't even have a kick. It's just that Zay 808, JST Clip, this is a great plugin. You could use the FL Studio Clipper. I just wanted a different flavor, and just know that, when you use a clipper on your 808, it's gonna bring out the mid-range even more. You feel me? So yeah, I would use that more like a parallel saturator type of thing, and it's got a mix knob too. All right, after that, I didn't notice too many sub basses on this song, but if there was like a different type of bass that was longer, I would use the Shep 73. And I'd put it on drive mode and parallel blend it. You can't see the knob, but I would parallel blend it, just to help it give a little bit of buzz and presence and cut through. Distortion is great. All right, now boom for the kicks. Even though there wasn't many kicks on this, sometimes the kicks only show up for like a certain part, maybe like the hook or whatever, or the hooks don't come around like that much. You feel me? The kicks don't come around. I would use the Shep's Omni channel and click that thud, bro, and it just makes your kick hit hard, bro. It does like a Helios resonant bump, right? So it just brings out the belly, man. It puts a little bit of weight on the chest. The bench, it makes the kick do a bench press and get thicker, a little bit more up top, type shit like that. All right, cool. So after that, I would use the SSL on the snares. The snares are very important. Those quick little Zay snares and the claps, even the chants, are very chunky. So EQ move I love to use is like the SSLG gangster mode. They might as well call it the SSLG ghetto channel script. Ghetto channel script. You feel me? Because it just reminds me of the hood. It's just ratchet and fucking, gritty. And of course I like on a clap, a chunky clap. I love to apply a little bit of like a mid range bump and a low shelf. And just do like a little bit of a roll off on the bottom. Not many of those rap samples need to be EQ'd, but in the context of a mix, you got this huge round pad, like Pico, like that. Those pads on Pico, sometimes they could, feel like something's standing in the way. A little brother skipped them in the line. You feel me? An annoying ass jit skipped them in the line on the way to the roller coaster. So you might want to use an EQ like this to get that little kid to the back of the fucking line, badass jit. You feel me? And that's where the filter comes in, but still give it a little bit of body, all right? On the drum bus, Shep's Omni channel, again, I would just use the thump twice over, or maybe even the preamp, but whatever it is, if you got a good producer, if you ever get to work with a Zaytoven level producer, or even just a good beat maker, because nowadays any producer on YouTube got access to those same sounds. So what's the difference? You feel me? Like, of course it's not Zaytoven, but still though, they got access to the same sounds. You could be working with high quality samples. You don't want to do too much to it, just apply what needs it. Now for me, this is very important. The pianos, the keys for Zay, I love how they shimmer a little bit and they have a great warmth to it. So I would use this plugin, very cheap plugin, but great. MJUC, and you got three options: a style level, a retro style level. These are all Verimute compressors, right? That means they use the tube to compress. All-Tech compressor, and then you got the Fairchild compressor, and these compressors are all great, bro. They all sound great in warmth. So sometimes you can get your more warmth from a compressor. Just maybe only doing a pinch of DV, but you understand that the compressor has a tube in it. You understand that this Hellcat has a certain engine in it. So when you hit that gas quick, it's gonna skirt. You feel me? You gotta understand what is under the hood when you're using any of these plugins, bro. You feel me? Take some time. And then on the Zaytoven keys, maybe they need, if I ever felt like they were dry, or I might want to apply effect, I'll use something like Greg Wells Piano Centric. Greg Wells, he's another great pianist, and a little bit of delay on this plugin is just overpowered, low key, bro. Like maybe even just turn off the actual input and just use maybe the delay part. This is a really dope plugin for like a good delay for a piano and a good doubler to widen up a piano. Maybe if it's too mono in the middle. So the synth pads, bro, I was thinking about a song like Pico, bro. Like Pico, it's not the fact that the pad just feels like a pad, but it also has like a little bit of vibration type of thing, a little bit of wobbliness. And that's an emotional thing too. Cause Future talking about how he's sipping on mud and he tripping off all these drugs and shit like that. And that's what drugs make you do. They make you wobbly a little bit. You feel me? They fuck your head up a little bit, Don't do those shits. You feel me? Type shit like that, do them at your discretion. But yeah, a song like Pico, I think to get a sound like that, using Valhalla Ubermod, I would use something like that because you have options for a chorus, a flanger, and it's really a chorus. It sounds like a chorus. All of these things are related though, like a flanger, a phaser, and a doubler. They're all delays at like different timings with different amount of modulation. So that's why I like Ubermod a lot. Cause you could really like get a synth pad that sounds boring, like boom, boom, to being woo, like how Future got it. There's also an aspect of the movement, the wobblingness, a little bit of the Tourette's, a little bit of the nervous shakiness. You feel me? That makes it feel more human, more natural. No human being just has like a straight face on all day. Like, no, you experience emotion. You feel, when you're around somebody you love, you feel a little bit like, shaky on the inside. You feel a little tingling type shit. So I love plugins like this because they bring a little bit of human emotion to maybe a sterile type of sound. You know what I mean? So when it comes to the bells, I think about a song like oops. I think about a song like Ain't You. You feel me? Like, did it have bells? One of these songs has bells. You feel me? Maybe the whole thing has bells on it, right? But look, most important thing, I would use something like a transient designer. I'm not even logged in right now. But look though, I would use a Neutron 4 transient designer. And that way I could like reshape the attack and sustain. Like maybe if I want the bells to cut through, but I don't want to EQ them no more, I'll just use a transient designer and boost up the attack so it could really like hit hard with the rest of the drums. Because the bells are sometimes with Beethoven, they serve a melodic purpose and sometimes they serve like a percussive purpose. So that's important to know as an engineer too. Is it rocking and vibing, or is it one of them boxers, them MMA Conor McGregor trying to hit you in your chest? You feel me? Type of thing. So yeah, with the auto tune, waves real time, you could use Antares. Don't really matter. Future is Future. I'm sure if I put Future on a Dollar Tree auto tune, he would still sound like Future because naturally he'll just compensate. You know what I mean? If the auto tune sounds different, it's not an excuse. You know. And then with the ad libs, I like the ad libs like on oh, you feel me? They have a nice little bit of modulation, but you still feel the high end. So I would use a high shelf over a filter, a Valhalla vintage, and then use like whatever H delay or whatever you got going on. All right. And the vocal chain for Future, I know Future likes to record into a 1073, so I use a Shep 73. Same shit, different smell. Can't you tell? All right. And rolling off like body, a good amount of body because his voice is deep. You feel me? Type shit. Between the filter and the shelf, the first two moves I go for, trying to set the low end of the vocal. And then, probably keep the mid range flat because his vocal kind of already is naturally present. Some people have a naturally present voice. Future is definitely one of them. All right. Just naturally cuts through the mix. And if you don't have that, maybe you might want to boost a little bit of mid range. I like to go all the way to like 8 or 9 and then scroll through and like, where do I hear a pleasant mid range I can boost? Right. Where do I hear a pleasant mid range I can boost it and I dial it back, I pull it back, That's just kind of how I do it. All right. And then the LA3A, because with Future, it's gonna be good because a little bit of that, transformer warmth is gonna help his vocal just feel full after you've kind of like aggressively cut it. You know what I mean? So it's like you cut with an EQ, but you boost it back with a compressor. So you kind of using the compressor like an EQ because you know the components. I use the C6 to like, now that I boosted with the LA3A, the low end, because it has a transformer, I'm gonna control it with a C6. I mean, y'all see me do this shit so many times, And yeah, I just use another SSL gangster mode strip on the vocals. And I use a lower ratio because that's gonna kind of gather the vocal together, especially with a guy like Future. You want his vocal to feel like really round. You feel me? Like you want to gather it together because the auto tune is kind of wobbling and going all over the place and shit. You want to be like a therapist and somewhat control the vocal. So yeah, I think the SSLG, the SSL ghetto mode, the SSL gangster mode is the perfect script for Future. All right, and then the Valhalla vintage delay. I'm thinking about a song like Layup. I love the delay on the song like Layup. That's the shit that made me get into mixing. Like, if you ever hear that song in your car, Layup, if you've been zooted and you hear that delay, like, that delay is just so perfect on his voice, bro. No cap. So I'll use Valhalla delay, you know, and I use the digital mode because it's gonna sound modern and clarity. And I'd use that in a Valhalla vintage reverb. So that's pretty much the end of the video that we have here today. Damn, my light is the one that's telling me it's the end of the video here today. So yeah, I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. You want to get the free loop project is there for you. Don't forget to support the channel. And I just want to say thanks a lot, my YouTube game. Appreciate y'all now. Peace.